Hey there. Okay, so yeah, I just have had this one for a little while, and it is a really interesting delay device and sort of a sampler. But yeah, so I'm actually just sold it, so I'll be shipping this off after I make this video. But I thought it deserves some, you know, exposure on YouTube, and I wanted to share a little bit about it. So um, first and foremost, I think the interesting thing about this unit that I won't be able to demonstrate this time is that it does have this interesting Midi implementation, and you can actually see the manual online, and there's a series of different things you can actually control. In other words, these different banks, for example, and I never got around to actually really playing with it directly, but I have a suspicion that someone who has more time than I do will be able to do some really fun things with this. So here's kind of the rundown though. So you have this record section here where you can record something that comes into it. You have a playback button, then you have, of course, your stop. This is a gate reverse button, and it'll do some fun stuff I'll show you in a second. Turn it off right now. And there's a stutter. I honestly never quite got a sense of what the stutter is, or at least how to utilize it in an interesting way. So who knows? Maybe we'll figure it out on this video. But this right here, edit thing. Again, I never really got into this too much, the start and stop point thing. Again, I know there's more to this than I even had a chance to explore, which is partially why I ended up selling it. But you also have these 4 banks for samples, and then you have a few other settings here. So this basically is a loop mode, which will allow you to loop these particular banks over and over again. And then you also have this delay, which makes this unit essentially into a pretty much a straightforward delay device, controlled with these variables. And then tap tempo, again, not really sure I ever got a chance to play with it much, and anyway. And then there's an effects thing, which essentially turns this unit more into like sort of a flange, chorusy kind of effects processor with some delay when you tinker around with some combinations. So, all right, so without further ado, here I'm going to run a little riff through it. It's just a sample from my PVSP. I sampled a little toy piano thing, and so here it goes. Okay, so right now you're not here; you're just hearing no effect right now. So let's turn on. I guess we'll do some recordings. So we'll go to the let's go to loop. And you get to play, you can hit record here. There's your input. So, and it starts counting off. All right. So now I can do the playback, and it's in loop mode. So, ready? So it's just looping forever. But then you can also do things like this reverse. Actually, I think I'll turn on first. There you go. So it's just going to loop forever. Now it's not being triggered, it's just playing forever. So of course it's going to get out of step eventually. So, but again, that's where the MIDI comes into play. I'm pretty sure you can trigger these samples to be played back individually, all 4 of them, only one at a time though, so it's not like you have 4 voices of polyphony. But still pretty interesting. So we turn on delay, for example, now, right? And now it's just a delay unit. It actually turns off the bank stuff and all of that. And you have your speed, and actually no, it's this right here. So. But you still have your feedback, so. Right. But the modulate, it's interesting though, the speed doesn't really do anything, but the depth does. But I don't know if there's any way to actually affect that in this particular combination other than just doing it by hand. But it kind of makes some interesting stuff. If you turn off the delay, it's back to just being what it is. You can do the effects by themselves. So now, you do a little mix here. Turn this up some. Oh no. Let's see if I can get it to make a sound. Let's see. So I'll turn on the effect and then a delay work together. There you go. There. So now the speed and depth, and feedback, of course, work together. Let me change the. And now, of course, it's really just, a very rich, chorusy kind of flangy thing. And this can go for a really long delay too. So if you want those really crazy long, I think it probably goes with like 12 seconds probably, or at least. But anyway, it does kind of turn slow. But so let's see what else. If you do reverse. So this is a weird one too, and again, I'm sure with a little better understanding. I just hit the gate reverse button now. Let's see here. Let's see, play. Yeah, I've got the stutter to do something before, but it was like this weird sort of back and forth thing, I think. So anyway, it is a very cool unit. It does do some very interesting things. Like, let's go back to this loop thing here. Go back to record. And then you go to bank 2. So each one of these is its own unique bank and recording. So I just stop the outside music now. So now it's just the unit itself. So yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a really fun unit, and I think with someone who has, you know, more time and you know, just because you basically have a MIDI input on the back of it. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish I'd had time to play with it a little bit more like that, but just isn't happening. But still, I know that with the right creativity, someone could do something very interesting with all those different banks of pre-recorded sounds and sort of setting it up and then letting the performance, you know, be really cool. So, all right, well, thanks for watching, and yes, take care.